Shalom, shalom, shalom. I'm going to start out this video by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elder bishops, a great millstone that rule well, that teach well while learning truth, 100% according to the Bible. I also want to say shalom to the elect, the 144,000 men, prophet servants, scattered abroad the four corners of the earth, and shalom to you sincere Akwaf, which are you sisters that are sincere, and your children, shalom. And then today's video is going to be the current news that's basically taking place, where you got Trump basically coming out and saying that Israel and Iran are at a ceasefire. So he's basically declaring that, peace has come and things of that nature. That's what they're trying to push, But we know what the Lord said in the scriptures, that when they start talking about those things and what's going to be ultimately to come after that, right? So I'm actually get this precept that I got pulled up first. This is 1 Thessalonians chapter 5. And I'm going to start at verse 1 in the KJV, and it says, "But of the times and seasons, right, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you, for yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord, Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, so cometh as a thief in the night." Verse 3, "For when they shall say," right, "peace and safety," hence what you hear Donald Trump basically talking about, saying that there's going to be peace in Israel and Iran, right? That's what they're saying, right? But we know ultimately through prophecies and what Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai ultimately said, that there's going to be destruction, man. There's going to be a World War III. None of these things are going to stop just because Trump is in the office thinking that he's going to come together with some peace negotiations, man. At the end of the day, the Lord's will is going to be done, man, right? We go to a precept just to touch on that, right? Then I'll get back to that. This is Isaiah chapter 55. And I'm going to start at verse 11, right, in the KJV. And it says, "So shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth." Who is the Lord? Mouthpiece, the prophets, right? And what is his word? These prophecies that we're warning about. World War III, the famine, the MOTB, Jacob's trouble, all hell breaking loose. All of these things, right? They're going to happen, right? It said, "It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereto I sent it." So basically, no matter what it is that these devils are basically speaking about and saying what's going to come, we know what the Lord said through the scriptures, man, that ain't no peace coming to this place, America, or for the world as these people know it, right? So I'm going to get back to 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, and I'm going to start at verse 3. It said, "For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape." And that's the time period in which it is that we're living in. Because, Trump been pushing that agenda a lot since he came into the White House, about peace and all of these different things. But now we're at that time now where, that sudden destruction can happen, man, where things can continue to get more and more out of control. And that's what they're going to do ultimately, because we know, as the Lord has said in this precept right here, this is St. Matthew chapter 10, verse 34. This is red letter Lord Yahweh Shai speaking, who they ignorantly call Jesus Christ. He said, "Think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword," man. So the Lord himself said peace is not coming upon his earth. So we can't, ultimately a lot of people are going to believe this because ultimately they're not of the Lord's elect. And they can't discern the signs of the times in which it is that we're in. So a lot of these people are going to believe and eat up what Trump is saying, thinking that peace is going to come, thinking that, this stuff is going to boil over and it's not going to be any more conflict. And they're actually sincere about their deal and all of this madness. But no, man, the Lord is going to bring forth a lot of chaos, man. No peace is coming anytime soon to this place, man. So I'm going to get into the video so we can basically hear what it is that they're talking about. But yeah, you got Trump basically coming out with a peace proposal and claiming that Iran and Israel has came to a negotiation, right? So I'm going to get into this video. But before I start it, I want to say fair use. Fair use on the 1976 Copyright Act. Not getting paid for this video. This is only for educational purposes only. Fair use.
All right, and Blaze, I do want to ask you about this because as we talk about it, a very fluid, dynamic situation taking place right now. We are now hearing from President Trump that Iran and Israel have agreed to a ceasefire, and I'm going to read this statement to give you a little bit of time to also kind of come to terms with what this means. And this from the president saying, "Congratulations to everyone. It has been fully agreed to by and between Israel and Iran that there will be a complete and total ceasefire in approximately 6 hours from now, when Israel and Iran have wound down and completed their progress, their final missions. For 12 hours, at which point the war will be considered ended. Officially, Iran will start the ceasefire, and upon the end of the to the 12-day war will be saluted by the world. During each ceasefire, the other side will remain peaceful and respectful on the assumption that everything works as it should, which it will. I would like to congratulate both countries, Israel and Iran, on having the stamina, courage, and intelligence to end what should be called the 12-day war. And this is a war that could have gone.
So you basically just got a little gist of what it is I played through the video, what he said. He basically saying that they done stopped the war, basically. So now everybody just going to go back to peace, right? That's what they're trying to say through the video, you know, that basically Israel and Iran, they came up with a proposal to where they're going to stop bombing each other and that this stuff is just going to pass over and now they're all cool, right? But that's a lie, man, because that's not the time and seasons in which it is that we're living in, you know. And I'm actually go to that, right? This is Ecclesiastes, right? Chapter 3, right? And I'm going to start at verse 1 and read down, but the point is at verse 8, right? And it says, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. Verse 2, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted, right? Verse 3, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up. Verse 4, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to get and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to cast away, right? Verse 7, a time to rend and a time to sow, keep silence and a time to speak. This is verse 8, the point. It said a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace, right? And we're in that time of war right now, man, you know, because ultimately that's the prophecies in which it is that's ultimately coming together, which is the third woe, man. And that's a major part of prophecy right along with that MOTBC hit being made, mandated. And we know that those things will happen, man. So for these people to be claiming that, you know, ultimately there's going to be peace, we know that that destruction is sooner than what most people expect to come, man. Because, you know, I'm going to get this again. This is 1 Thessalonians chapter 5. And I'm going to start at the point, verse 3, but I'm going to read it in the NLT, right? And it says, when people are saying everything is peaceful and secure, right? Which is what you hear these people basically talking about in this video, that, you know, all things are going to go back to normal. Israel and Iran, they're on good terms now. They done came up with a deal and they're allies and, you know, they're just going to, you know, hug it out and, you know, it's all over with, right? That's what they want the people to believe, right? So they can rock the people back to sleep, man, and make people think that everything is normal, that, oh, World War III is not going to happen. You know, all of this madness, man, you know. But it said, then disaster will fall on them as suddenly as a pregnant woman's labor pains begin, and there will be no escape. Right. So that's what the Lord is getting ready to bring, man. A lot of judgment, a lot of chaos, a lot of, you know, evil times, man. You know, as it tells you in 2 Esdras 14 and 16, for yet greater evils, right, than those which thou hast seen done happen shall be done hereafter. Right. So the Lord is bringing evils into this place, man, this world, and to this place, America. So, you know, no amount of peace deals, no amount of negotiations or talks or things in which it is that these people ultimately say is going to try to stop these things from happening, because it is not going to stop it, man. As it tells you in this precept right here, proving that Yahweh Bashem Yahushua is in control of all things, man. And the Lord is going to allow his will to be done regardless of what it is that these puppets are basically saying, man. Donald Trump, Iran, Israel, Netanyahu, all of these other different people, man. They're not the ones in control. The Lord is, right? This is Proverbs 19 to 21, KJV. It said, there are many devices, right, in a man's heart, meaning his mind. Nevertheless, the counsel of the Lord, that shall stand, man. Right. So regardless of what it is that these leaders are talking about, right, the Lord is the one that's ultimately controlling everything, man. And he's the one controlling whether or not there's going to be peace. And as I read earlier in Ecclesiastes 3, we're not in the time of peace. We're in the time of evils, man, and war. And that's what's ultimately going to come upon the earth, man. And I'm going to go to another precept just proving that, right, that the Lord's counsel shall stand, which is to bring forth all of these judgments and these evils into the earth, man. So, you know, judge this place, right? This is Isaiah chapter 46. And I'm going to start at verse 9, but the point is at verse 10. It says, remember the former things of old, for I am Yahweh, and there is none else. I am Yahweh, and there is none like me. Verse 10, declaring the end from the beginning, right? And from ancient times, the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand. I will do all my pleasure, right? So that's ultimately meaning that everything in which it is, like I read in Isaiah 55:11 earlier, all of the things in which it is that the men of the Lord have spoken, right? The Lord's prophets, these things are going to take place, man. No matter if what these people are talking about, a peace plan or, oh, it's going to get better and all of this madness. No, man, what's coming is destruction. And nothing is going to stop that at all, So I'm going to get back into the video so we can finish, listening to what it is that they're saying. But like I said, this place America is done, man. And the world, as these people know it, is done because we're coming to the end of Esau's age, man. And he knows his rulership is coming to an end. So he's trying to hold on to that power as much as he can. And what better way than hold on to that power than to, convince everybody in their mind that everything is going to go back to normal. Even though the true men of the Lord and, the hopeful elect brothers and sisters, we know that the times we're living in, that evils are about to occur and that, nothing is going to stop these things from ultimately happening, man. Not a peace deal, man. That's not going to stop these wars that's ultimately, ordained to happen, man, by Yahweh, by Shem Yahushua, right? So I'm going to get this other precept, which it is that I have, right? Bear with me. This is 2nd Esdras, chapter 15, right? And I'm going to go straight to the point, verse 2, just touching on these words, man. It said, and caused them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true, right? And that's talking about these prophecies, these scriptures, man, right? Everything in which it is that the men of the Lord have been warning you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians about are going to happen, man. World War III will take place. Jacob's trouble is getting ready to come. All type of other different evils that the Lord ultimately has on the table to manifest. They're going to take place, man. Right. So we not even caught up in this madness of this man talking about a peace deal, man, because we know there won't be any peace for the Middle East, man. The Lord is getting ready to bring war over there to that place, So, yeah, I'm going to get this video so we can finish listening to it. Bear with me. I got this ad playing. So, all right, we're going to get back into the video.
Or that could have gone on for years, destroyed the entire Middle East, but it didn't and never will. God bless Israel. God bless Iran. God bless the Middle East. God bless the United States of America. God bless the world. This coming in from the president. So, Blaze, that happened very quickly, calling for that ceasefire. What's your initial reaction?
Well, I think this is a clear demonstration of peace through strength and the role that American might plays in keeping our country and the world safe. It was the U.S. entry into this conflict, the demonstration of both the capabilities that we have and the will to use them that I think has led to this possibility of Iran backing down and also of eliminating the rest of Iran's nuclear.
See, these people here in Babylon are very proud, man. These Edomites, all of these other different heathen nations, But ultimately, these people here in America, they're proud. They saying that basically, due to America's military might and them bombing the Iranian, nuclear facilities over there in the Middle East, that it basically terrified Iran to come to a deal. No, man. And that's why this place America is going to be destroyed, man, because these Edomites really believe that, everybody in this world is ultimately scared of them and that this place America is going to be touched. But as it tells you in Proverbs 16:18, that pride goeth before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall. And this place, America, is very proud, man. These people here don't think this place is ever going to be touched, right? But they're sadly mistaken. And they're believing in this peace deal as well, thinking that, everything is just going to go back to normal. Oh, the U.S. then bombed Iran and, Iran is just going to let it go right along with Russia and their allies going to just allow everything to, pass over. It's nothing to be worried about. Yeah, and this is going to be that time when that sudden destruction going to happen, man. Right? So, yeah, that's wild that they even talking like that, talking about, basically this place America is going to come back. or that Iran is basically bowed down to America. That's what they're trying to paint it as, the narrative that basically America's military might has, scared Iran to coming into a peace deal, which is a lie. But we know these Edomites got to try to always, sauce up everything to fit as though they're the ones that's in charge or they're dominating everything and all of that. That's why this place, America, is about to be destroyed, man, and it's coming soon. We literally right there, everything is, all the cards are being set in order by Yahweh Shem Yahushua, man, for these things to ultimately to take place and to come into fruition, right? So I'm gonna get another precept right here, right? This is I'm gonna get bear with me. I'm gonna get this is Proverbs 21, and I'm gonna read verse 1, right? And it said, the king's heart, meaning his mind, right, is in the hands of the Lord. As the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. So we know Yahweh Shem Yahushua ruleth in the hearts of men, meaning their minds. So we know ultimately Yahweh Yahushua, he put the spirit on Trump and on these other nations to ultimately to, come together with this so-called peace negotiation, because the Lord is the one that's orchestrating everything with these heathens, man. He's playing chess with them. So at the end of the day, he's going to put that spirit on their minds to make them think that peace is coming and all of these different types of things, and them not knowing, right? That's why I said in Obadiah chapter 1, about Esau, how his pride have deceived him, man, because he's going to believe, that all good things are going to come back and things are going to get normal and all of this different type of stuff. They done made Iran bow down. And that's when things are really going to start heating up for this place, man. That's when this place, America, is going to really start getting judged even more, man. That's when these evils are going to start picking up, right when they thinking there's peace, Then you just had Iran that just launched some missiles at America's military bases today in Iraq and in Qatar. So it's just hilarious that they're talking about peace. Literally after like 3-4 hours, they just launched missiles at their bases, man. So like I said, this is all Yahweh Shem Yahushua is doing. The Lord is ultimately the one controlling the minds of all these leaders. And, he's just making them feel like that, everything is good, man, because that's what he wants them to feel, because ultimately he's about to take them all down, man. And that's what everything is ultimately leading up towards, is World War III, man. Right. And I'm going to actually go to a precept to prove that. Right. This is bear with me. I'm going to go to what precept was it? I'm gonna go to, bear with me. I'm gonna go to Salakia, brothers and sisters. It was just on my spirit. Yeah, I go to this one right here. Just proving that war is still gonna come, man. Despite what it is that Trump is basically saying. Despite what these elites and all of these other different people are trying to, push into the narrative to the people, because we know ultimately a lot of these people are going to believe this madness, because they ultimately don't know prophecy and they're not of the Lord's elect, mainly 2/3 of our people. So they're going to believe these lies that Donald Trump is going to give them, man, just like they're going to believe the lies with him telling them that he's going to make this country great again. Right. But that's not what's going to come, man. What's coming is a lot of destruction, man, and chaos. Right. So this is Revelation chapter 11, verse 14. And it said, the second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly, man. And that's what all of these scenarios that we see talking, these peace deals and all of these alleged proposals and things of that nature are going to lead up towards, man, because World War III is a part of prophecy, man. And it's going to come to pass, as I love to bring out, Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 3, for the vision, meaning the prophecies, is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, it will surely come, it will not tarry. So all of these prophecies are going to take place, man, regardless of what it is these people are saying to the people, man. Well, ultimately trying to make people to believe or, ultimately to agree with, peace is not coming, man. But I'm going to get back into this video.
Program, which now enables this conflict to end. So rather than the World War III and the possibility of endless wars that many were concerned about, it was the U.S. use of force that really made possible peace in this case, and it's hopefully a good outcome for the United States and for Israel now that Iran has largely been defamed.
Right. You hear what it is the guy's saying, man, in the video, the Edomite. You could tell he's an Edomite speaking how proud he is. But he's basically saying that, America's bombing of Iran's nuclear facilities has basically made them throw in the white flag and give up, But see, this is how Esau is going to go down, man. This is Obadiah chapter 1. And I'm going to start at verse 3 because, I paraphrased the scripture earlier, but I didn't want to botch it. So I'm going to just read it. It said, the pride of thine heart have deceived thee, right? That's talking about Esau, thou that dwellest in the cleft of the rocks, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground, right? Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai. So like I said, even though that this man Trump is trying to basically tell people that there's going to be peace and all of this madness, we know what the prophecies say, that America, Babylon the Great, will be destroyed. So, no matter what it is that these devils are ultimately saying, we know that that's not going to be the case, that's not what the Lord is bringing, man. The Lord isn't bringing peace, But I'm going to get back into the video. We're going to just finish watching the rest of it. About like a minute or two left.
This is again right now, and of course calling it the 12-day war, saying this is could have gone on for years, destroyed the entire Middle East. And I imagine this only gives us more optimism about negotiations to take place between the United States, knowing that these are on the table, that there will not be any conflict necessarily between these two, right?
Yeah, certainly it's hopeful that this might then lead to negotiations. The Israelis have always said that their plan was a 2-week plan of operations, which we were about 2 or 3 days away from them completing, which largely leads, I think, to their willingness to call a ceasefire. I think they've accomplished much of what they've wanted to accomplish. And the question will now be, is this just a ceasefire and everybody walks away and things go back to as they were? Or will this lead to more negotiations and a deal that might actually fully dismantle Iran's nuclear program?
All right, but another obvious positive step forward for the region. All right, Blaise Mistal, thank you so much. I appreciate your time, your insight here on Live Now from Fox.
Thanks for having me, Andy.
All right.
So as you can see, that's basically the video right there, brothers and sisters. But they're basically feeling like that Iran is done, that, they done basically made Iran quit and bow down to the U.S., which we know is a lie, man, because I'm going to actually go to Joel chapter 3, just to get where all of this is leading up towards, because even though, like I said before, they're talking about peace, but World War III is going to happen, man, all right? This is Joel chapter 3, and I'm going to start at verse 2. It said, I will also gather all nations, right? Talking about the heathen nations, and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, which is what they call today over there in the Middle East. And I will plead with them for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. So ultimately, just that verse alone, the Lord is going to bring these nations to the valley of Jehoshaphat, man, right? To fight in World War III for what they have done unto his people. So even though we hear Donald Trump ultimately saying that, there's going to be a peace deal between Israel and Iran, we know that that's a lie, because ultimately that's going to be the catalyst of the war that makes World War III official, man, and intensifies it, right? Because as it tells you in Jeremiah 50 and 45, the least of the flock shall draw them in, roughly paraphrasing it. And those Amalekites have drawn in America. Now, we know it's going to get worse because you got Og, which is Russia, Ezekiel 38, that prophecy, which is going to bring them into it as well. But we know before it can get intense, of course, to where the nukes are shot off, that, that MOTBC hit has to be made mandatory. So like I said, we're just living in that time where basically anything can happen, man. So this is why it's important for us brothers and sisters to always be watching as well as praying, because we're living in some deadly serious times, man, and I'm going to actually get this precept one more time, You know, this is 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 3. It says, for when they shall say peace and safety, right, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. So that's pretty much everything I had to say with today's video. Lord's willing to be edifying to you brothers and sisters that come across it. Till the next time, I'm going to say shalom to the elect.